introduce our special guest. So, real quick, hi, you all know me. You guys are all repeat class attendees. But for those watching the recording, I'm Ashley Atwood. I am Emmy nominated actress and producer and the director of the Desert Playhouse. And here we focus a lot on the business of show business as well as developing your craft. So, we're so glad to have you at this week's table read of Mary Jane. If you haven't already had your audition review, you do get a free half-hour session with me to go over your audition. Let's see what we could do and to improve. Or some of you were just fantastic, and I had no notes, which is always a good thing too. So grab that if you want another one and you already used your free one. It's only $25 to sit with me for half an hour and kind of go over those things. In the meantime, I usually go over all of my other classes, but I'm too excited to announce our special guest, and I want to make sure that she gets the time that she deserves. So, Robin, I wrote a little bio for you, and I'm gonna
Okay.
read it. And if it's wrong, correct me. But this is what the website pulled up for me, all of the research. So, Robin Karas is a distinguished cat.
Karis.
Is it
Karis.
Karas? Thank
Yeah.
you. Sorry, there we go. Robin Karras is a distinguished casting director based in New York City, celebrated for her extensive contributions to theater, film, television, and commercials. With a career spanning over 2 decades, she has cast a diverse array of projects from iconic commercials to groundbreaking theater and independent film. From 2001 to 2008, Robin served as the head of casting for TheaterWorks USA, where she auditioned thousands of actors annually and cast more than 200 national tours, as well as numerous off-Broadway productions. Her off-Broadway and New York credits include productions such as I Know What Boys Want, The Accidental Caregiver, and Women at the Funerals. In addition to her casting endeavors, Robin is an adjunct professor at the Department of Theater and Speech at the City College of New York, and she also shares her industry insights as the host of the Casting Confidential podcast, which is how I found her. Robin's passion for the art of casting and her dedication to discovering new talent have made her a respected figure in the performing arts community. Ladies, our special guest, Robin Karras. Yay!
Thank you. Thank you.
I wanted Robin to come on and discuss the difference between auditioning for theater, especially in New York, versus what we typically go out for, co-stars, guest stars, regionally, and in LA. And of course, I want to open it up to questions and afterwards, but Robin, I will give the floor to you.
Okay. Well, I will say in terms of my credits, so thank you. Those are a little dated. I worked on a lot of things since then. And so right now um, I'm working on Lonnie Elder III's Ceremonies in Dark Old Men, which hasn't been performed in New York in over 40 years. And Lonnie Elder was a Pulitzer Prize winning playwright who's no longer with us, but it's an honor to work on the show. And I actually am working currently as well on a docu-series about Elijah Abels, who was he was a Mormon, and he was a light-skinned black man who happened to kind of raise up in the ranks in the Mormon faith, much to the chagrin of Brigham Young. And so, um, but it's a really, I'm collaborating with a very dear friend of mine, Mally Bonner, on that, and this is our second, I'll say, Mormon project together. I'm not Mormon, um, but we also worked on a film called Green Flake, also based on a historical person. Um, and yeah, so there you go. I think that, hmm, I think that in New York, I guess I can start by saying that although we know that the idea of the self-tape is here to stay, because although it was done prior to the pandemic occasionally, now we know that it's kind of forevermore. But funny enough, in theater, we still like to see people, and my directors still like to kind of have that one-on-one time to like work with an actor. So I think that probably the big difference is that live factor. And certainly, I think that the idea of who's the local hire, you know, um, I think that it's easy enough to say, since many of you tonight are regional actors, you're in a region. And so and so the idea that you can say, oh, well, if I'm in Texas, I can work here, here, and here. And if I'm in Arizona, I could work in California and whatever is kind of like a nearby state where, you have someone that for a week will put you up or a few days and voila, your local hire. And I kind of think that in New York, it's a little bit different because our projects run so much longer, or at least theater runs so much longer. It's a length of time. Or if it's a workshop, you're here for, a week. And um, so therefore, the idea of having that local hire status is a really important thing. And the other thing is, if you're working under the auspices of Actors Equity Association, it's sort of like the idea that they want to know that whomever whomever you're hiring, really is kind of a local hire. Now, have people ever gotten away with not being a local hire but staying on someone's couch? Absolutely. It happens all the time. But the idea that we want you as local as humanly possible, is an important thing, especially if it's a work in development and, you might have a 29-hour workshop during this span of time, and then a few months later they'll say, hey, are you around for like a table read, and you kind of want your folks, and you sort of hope that they are available to you. um I don't know. I think that really beyond that, I think that um I always sort of hope that if it's musical theater, obviously, I expect that people have a book of music with a wide variety of songs in it from different genres, and it shows the range of what you have vocally. But I would also say for those of you who are not singers, um, or just are shower singers and not auditioning for musical theater. But I would also anticipate that you have, let's say, a Shakespeare monologue, a contemporary monologue, a classical monologue, all of those things, because let's say I'm having an EPA, or an open call of some kind. I would anticipate that you would come in prepared with something to show off, your wares, if you will. And I don't know, I think that that's probably the big difference, because normally if you're going out commercially, you're getting sides when you get to the audition, or your agent or manager, or if you don't have representation, if they say, hey, we'd love for you to audition, they're handing off sides to you and you're putting yourself on tape. And I think that with theater, though, people do put themselves on tape, but it's really harder to give that direction because I don't know, there's just something about being in the room with someone. You kind of get to work with them and get all of those like wonderful nuances and colors. And you also get to work things out physically. And everyone that is self-taping, you're in your room, or you're in your den, or you're in your library, or wherever, and you put your backdrop up and you kind of hope that it looks good, and the quality of light looks good. I never worry about the quality of light when I'm in person with someone. I don't care about that. I mean, I do want to see how they're dressed, but I also want to see how they utilize the room. It's so important. And I think that film, it's how you utilize the box and you create the world in the box. And I'm trying to get people out of the box when they're auditioning for theater. How do you use the room? And obviously, sound is a big deal. Sound is probably more important for theater than lighting, because you're playing your own lighting designer when you're sending in all of these self-tapes for film and TV and commercial work. I I always hope that the sound quality is good. That's probably the most important thing. And especially for those times where where we were in the midst of the pandemic and I was working on musical things and people were sending themselves in with these clunky accompaniments where, the sound wasn't matching completely because our technology had not quite caught up with itself. So, those are some of the things that I contend with when it's that world of self-tape. Um, And then there are just some things that I think that are kind of paramount for every genre. You always hope that the talent is filled with possibility, and I think that you always hope that you sort of always hope that their schedules really are what they say they are, and you also want to make sure that they're excited and they're willing to take the direction. And I think that when I do get the self tapes, if I do give direction, I hope that there's a quick turnaround so that way, I give to my director what they need. And that's a little harder because, so many people I think get oversaturated with the idea of the self tape, even now that we're a few years into self tape. Um, right now for this off-Broadway show that I'm working on, I, I'm having this like very quick callback where I have like five women come in for a callback. And it was amazing to me. And I loved it that like I had my audition, called them back, and like by 5 p.m. my time, everyone was confirmed. So I was like, huzzah. So, which is harder, I find in self-tape land, for film and TV projects where they're like, maybe. So, yeah.
Maybe I'll put a tape on for you.
Yes, exactly. And that's really hard because you're like, do I want to work on it now? I don't know. And with theater, it's either you're into it and you're like hungry or you're not. And I usually get the pass pretty quickly. It's very rare that people are kind of like keeping me on the line. So, and the only time I think that I'm working with complicated schedules is when it's somebody who's a little bit more well known or famousy, or I like to call them Broadway celebrities, the Broadway people that everyone loves so much. So I think that that's when I'm sort of teetering because it's like the agent and manager and I trying to like, will they get the film? Won't they get the film? Do I get them for my theater project? That kind of thing. So,
So okay, so I've got a couple of questions and I think if I just ask them, you'll be able to understand. Okay. How many people do you typically see for a role in a, off-Broadway show or a tour? What is the first call usually like? And what I mean by that is like, is it always an equity principal audition or are they closed calls that you do? When you get those, do you send sides and then callbacks and then how many rounds of auditioning are typically common? Can you take us through that process?
so if a project is under the auspices of Actors Equity Association, then I do have to have some kind of equity principal audition, EPA. Um, if it's non-union, nothing. I don't have to worry about the union getting involved, which I like. But it's a little bit of a Wild West situation. So when it's non-union, I usually have to use equity as sort of my the sort of the overarching boundaries. You know what I mean? Like just so you know, producer, director, this is what equity does. This is what I'd like you to model after. And sometimes they're really good about that. Sometimes they're not. And you sort of have to kind of like throw down the gauntlet and say, you have to do this. It's the right thing to do. For the union stuff, I do have to have an EPA. It really depends on what the demands of the project is like, um, and how many roles, etc. So equity sets the standard, equity sets the rules for how many days I have to be in an EPA. Most of the time, you're sitting there for 2 days in an EPA They're all day. If you have dancers, then you have to kind of do a dancer call and and that's that. Um
And so
and
an EPA is an open call for equity
yes,
performers. And
now correct. But
if there's time left over, non-equity can be seen as
yes, or they slip them into because they fit an X amount of people in a session. I have literally like a minute to work with them. That they do their monologue, we say hello, we banter for like 3 seconds, and then they leave. And I don't get to do too much with them. It's not like you can like work on the material. It's always meant so that they're called back from that session. Um, then I start to have my own auditions. So you have, if it's an equity project, you have the required equity calls, and that you don't know who's walking in. So, because it really is the equivalent of an open call, simply for equity people. Sometimes I would, especially in my theater works days where I was working with such crazy volume of shows, I would have my own separate open calls. Those were outrageous. Those were like actors coming in at 5 in the morning, lining up around the door. That was really super crazy. And that, and when you hear about that, like whenever it's a big show like Hamilton or, in the 90s when it was Rent, you hear about those
I did a
humongous.
rent one. I did
Mhm.
one where I like lined up around and we were there like all night.
Yes, and you do that and you're like, I am accomplished. And meanwhile, you're like, and I'm exhausted. Um, so uh but I think that for the average open call, usually, the casting director, at least I like to do this. I like to have my sense of organization, not the actors at large, their sense of organization. So that means if it's my own open call, not an EPA, what I'll do is I will have my own sign-in sheet and I actually give people numbers, like I give people like the time that I want them to be seen. So, you have 10, 10:05, 10:10, and, et cetera, et cetera. And I also, for both a regular old open call as well as for an equity call, they give us a break. I think equity, we are required to have an hour. I think it's an hour. Is it an hour break? I think might be 30 minutes. But for my own sessions, whether it's an open call or an audition, and I'm there all day, I give my team and me a 30-minute lunch break. And you do really need that. You either need that because you need to have just the clearing of the mind, and you also should eat and use the restroom, because I think as much as we try and be like robots, we can't be robots. Um, you're we're human, and I also want to make sure that my team doesn't start losing their steam. um I think notoriously, because I'm so used to the rigmarole, that I probably have the most stamina and I could sit through things, but I totally know when my team is starting to get a little like they start getting antsy. um hmm I It's hard because every production is really different and what their needs are very different, and it depends on how many roles I'm working on. I work with a Shakespeare company out of New Jersey, and Shakespeare, those tend to be pretty large casts. And so I said to my I said to my producer, I want I want 4 days of auditions and a callback. He was a little surprised that I wanted so many days, but it paid off in the end. We were working on the Scottish play, and there was a lot of nuance and there was a lot of like seeing chemistry and we didn't do that with everybody, but there were certain characters we wanted to kind of see one after the other to see how, to see just sort of like what the family of characters would look like. And so it really depends. For Ceremonies in Dark Old Men, we've had we've had sporadic sessions. Some have been all day, some have been like today we were in session for 2.5 hours, and this is, and you sort of, if you have the time, and certainly if you have the budget, and in this case, my producer manages a theater, therefore, we have a theater at our disposal to have these auditions in, thank goodness. And yeah, I mean, I guess it really depends. Like, I kind of have to cast until I get it cast. And sometimes, there's different things. Like certain roles are attachments, and what is an attachment? For those who don't know, that's where I'm kind of hitting up someone who is more recognizable. And why does that happen? Well, it's so that you have bodies and seats, and there's something to really create buzz around. And in New York theater, it's not uncommon. And there's two strains of thought. Will that celebrity really bring the population that you want in? Or can you do it with a bunch of just hardworking everyday actors? Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. It's all's fair, I guess. And I think you have to have superior marketing. So that's where I leave and marketing takes over, and hopefully they work their magic and voila. And I think that was sort of I think that was a little bit tangential to your question, but I'm sorry. But I think that I think that how many days I'm in session really, it just depends. Sometimes, you know, it it will always get cast, but sometimes, you have to say, okay, we cap it now. Like we have to cap the session because eventually a show must be made. So,
It sounds like it sounds like you get to see a lot more people in theater than you do for film, television, in a closed sessions. I mean, I don't know, but that's what it sounds like
I,
from this
I think that,
conversation.
well, it's different because like we were sort of joking around with before, when you have a bunch of self-tapes, as you could call in easily 60 people because they're just putting themselves on tape and you get 10. Whereas I know in my session, what I try and do is my game plan is always like my magic number is 15 per roll. That's where I kind of start in my head. And if I can give them 15 choices, of those 15 choices, hopefully I've I've done an incredible job. And
Mhm.
then, and then we get to whittle it down to about like the 3 to 5 that get called back, sometimes three, sometimes two. Um, but you start with that. And part of the reason why for these larger shows you have so many days, obviously more characters means because I need to give them a volume of people to choose from. And there's always going to be that one role. And usually it's the smallest role. That's like, the one that you're like, oh my God, I can't get this.
Mhm.
So,
So
so
you
you,
usually see monologues first in
Mhm.
whatever open call, and then when you come to callback is when you get sides
Right.
from the play. Do you pair people up in callbacks? Is it like,
Sometimes,
okay?
sometimes it really depends on what the director wants.
And how many rounds does it usually take before you're cast? Like if you're coming in for a role, do you get to as an actor you get seen two, three, four times?
No, I try and keep it to about 2 to 3 sessions per person. Keep in mind, okay, let's say I see you in an EPA or an open call. Let's say that's sort of separate. I bring you in, for your audition. I bring you into a callback. Let's say, so that's 2.5. That first initial meeting is the open call. So sometimes every now and again, because let's say they're like, I want to see this person against some of these other people. And that's when you bring them in one last time. And you apologize profusely and you also thank them profusely.
Yes, because casting directors, guys, are on our time. They're on our team. They're on our team. I know there's lots of been recently a lot of
It's so
debate
annoying.
about that, but
Yeah.
they're fighting for us, guys. They're fighting for us.
Though I don't want to give the casting folks that recently uh, kind of created a little bit of stir credo, to we amongst casting directors, we've been talking a little bit about this, a lot about this, um, because I think that first of all, when you're in the casting society, there's really like a code of conduct that you hold yourself to. Hopefully, fingers crossed, And I think that the idea that whether you're watching a self tape or you are watching someone live, you are an important part of the process. And I think that actors kind of forget that. And it doesn't make a difference whether it's theater, film, television, or commercials. The fact that you showed up or that you put yourself on tape, it's so vital and integral to what we have to do. And even if you don't get the role, the idea that you were a part of that process for a nanosecond is so important. And people don't realize that. And so, and I think that when you have certain people that say, I watch 4 seconds of a tape, well, shame on you. You should watch the whole thing and see where the possibility is. And let's say there's no possibility. Let's say they're just wrong. Okay. So they are wrong. Like that's okay too. But maybe there's possibility. And the possibility is really fun. And the truth is too that when I'm in auditions, and I think many casting directors do this because we work on lots of different types of things. If you are not right for one project, it's like, oh, but I have this coming up the pike, and they will be right for that project. And I was working on, excuse me, a Shakespeare production again for that same company in New Jersey. And it just so happens that a young man walked in and loved his vibe. Like, awesome. I didn't give him a lot of time with the sides, but he was cool. And he happened to be right for another show I was working on. I needed an understudy for another off-Broadway show I was working on. And so and so I took him out in the hallway and I said, "It was great to meet you. Thank you so much for coming in a pinch. I have a project that I'm curious if it vibes with you." And I described the project. I said, "You get your equity card." He didn't have his card. And so he was like, yeah. So I cast him. And that was like such a fun thing to be able to do that, all from an audition that was okay. But I saw possibility for this other project that I knew I could cast him in. And he was the coolest. I just love him to this day. He's just a great guy. So
Love that so much. To me, like I coach all the students, like an audition is a win. All of you have been in my class before. We do a little thank you for the audition, thank you for the win moment, and inviting more of those because it's getting in front of people like Robin and showing them who you are and that essence because casting directors are brilliant in being able to know who you are forever. I don't know what kind of superhuman power they have, but they'll be like, ah, I met Kenisha 5 years ago. She's perfect for this. I wonder if she's still working, like, and she'll Google you in a way. Like, it's amazing how they have this superpower. So just take the auditions as a win, go in, present your best work, your best version of your character, and that's all you have control over. And who knows what will happen.
and I think too, Ashley, that it's one of those things where people forget to book the room, not just the project.
Mhm.
Win over the room. And then you're brought in for more and more things. And that's incredible. And you want that, whether it's great when you get it, but it's even better to be invited back.
Yeah, absolutely. I want to, and Robin, unless there's anything more specific you want to share, I want to open it up to these ladies that have decided to expand and do plays for this class. You guys are getting this special treat because you stepped outside and you're like, I had so few people register for this class that I wanted to do something super special for you guys. So please unmute yourselves and ask some questions.
I
And
guess I'll go first. Real quickly, I will have my question is because I do have an interest in doing theater, and I do want to join equity. So as a person that isn't necessarily based in New York City or like Chicago, big cities that do a lot of live theater, how would I still go about trying to still submit myself for it? Do I, especially like New York City, like should I try to get agent first and see if they can like pitch me for certain projects, or like how
Where
would I kind of go about?
where are you based out of?
I'm based in Atlanta, so the equity theater there is like super small. So
See,
I
but
haven't
but
joined anything yet. But
here's
that is my long-term goal. Hmm.
but wait, here's the thing.
Hmm.
Start growing your resume locally, okay? So, there is some equity theater in Atlanta, there is some equity theater a few hours away in Savannah. There is North and South Carolina where there are equity theaters. And I would start seeing what their season is. If there are things that you could be a part of, start submitting your resume to whomever is casting, for said productions. Start there. There are agents that will, hopefully, if the agent is smart. The truth is that again, for all of these open calls that are done in New York, we're looking for New York based actors. It's very rare that you have somebody from a regional place and they're like, yes, you are hired. Because again, there's housing and food and, all of that to contend with. So I think that start locally and see how you go and you grow. Now, if part of the game plan is to get an agent or a manager, again, I say start locally, see who that local agent or manager knows in terms of New York. And then you have to start really talking about game plan. How often do you want to come into New York? What is your availability really like to do that? It's an expense and that's sort of life goals, that and maybe it's to be a successful working actor in Atlanta and in the, and the outerlying areas, which is fine. And if New York never happens and you are a continuously working actor regionally where you are, beautiful, right? Because then you've carved out a career for yourself.
Hmm.
And if that career that you've carved out for yourself consists of film and TV and theater, and the occasional voiceover, then oh my gosh, then you've kind of conquered it all, and you've conquered it on your home turf, or near your home turf, which is great. And many people do that, who are in an area. You hear of people who are in Chicago, who are in Boston, who work consistently, Nashville. You hear of people in those places that are working. There's no shame in that. New York is a big place. Los Angeles is a big place. There's no doubt about that. There's no doubt that there's some sort of buzz and hum, and it feels like when you're in those two cities where it's like, the New Yorkers always feel like they're the center of the universe, and LA people also feel like they're the center of the universe, except that they like a good sound bath. Like that's that.
Hmm.
It LA to me is always like a little bit more like they won't give up their stress, but a New Yorker loves it. Like they love their neuroses so very much. Um, but in any case, I mean, really start where you are. Go with what you know before you venture out into the great unknown. And
Okay.
take it step by step. Like you very well know that you have to you kind of have to crawl before you walk. And before you run, you kind of know that you have to master the steps while you're walking, and it's okay to do that. And it's okay to take time and say, I want to make sure I have all of my material. I feel like I'm a solid competitor. I have, headshots that I feel like are getting me work. I have a resume that kind of speaks a language and tells the story of who I am as a performer. And you take it step by step. And I think that, it's those times that you work with Ashley. I and as you're working in class, because I don't know the full extent of everything, so I apologize. But you then say, hey, can we go through the resume? Can we go through the headshots to see what really sells? Who are you? You have to know who you are and what you bring as the performer, right? It's really important. What's the story your headshots are saying? You know, is it that you are, is it that you can play, and this is for anything, film, TV, theater. Is this, can you play the doctor? Can you play the nurse? Can you play the mom? You know, all of that. Do you want to play somebody who's rough around the edges? Maybe you don't. Maybe you want to move away from that. And you've played those roles and you're like, not for me unless they're willing to pay me a whole lot of money. And so, you know, again, everyone has their thing, their hard nose, and you'll figure out what your hard nose are.
Mhm.
Figure it out in your space where you are comfortable first, so important. You should be comfortable where you are, build yourself, and then you can figure out how to branch out. You know,
Okay. One more question though.
I don't answer any, no, I'm joking.
So one more question. It's about the equity because I feel like I built a huge community here in Atlanta with the non-union community theater. But I want to get better at doing more equity theater. So do I just kind of do what I've been doing within the community theater, like volunteering and doing ushering work with the equity theater, or like how can I build my relationships with more equity houses? I feel like I'm having a harder time doing that.
An usher is an usher. That's the position that you're taking on.
Mm-hmm.
That's so that you can see a free show. But now let's talk about how do you how do you build your relationship with theaters so they understand you as a performer, right? Is that what we're getting at?
Yeah, for equity in particular. Yeah.
Well, let's say any professional theater organization, okay?
Mm-hmm.
So because again, the idea is that you want to work. And so sometimes you work union until you are equity or sometimes you work non-union until you are union, but no matter what, you want to be involved with professional theater organizations, not simply community theater organizations, which are volunteer based. You want to be paid for your time, energy, and efforts. So it could be sending your material to, to said, finding out who, again, casts all these shows, for them. Sometimes it's saying, hey, do you ever take on general meetings? I'd love to meet with you so you know a little bit more about me.
Okay,
You
maybe I'll
know?
try that. That's a good idea.
So, but beyond that, it's sort of like a $5 million question because everyone wants the brass ring, but I will tell you that you don't get acting jobs by ushering or doing concessions or whatever it is. You get acting jobs by acting, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes you, I also think that if you want to be in the room where it happens, so to speak, then perhaps you volunteer your services as a reader for their auditions. Being a reader is super important. You could even and this is where again I say that it's much better because you're nearby to the audition room. Even if you say, hey, if you ever need a monitor for your auditions, that ushers people in and out of the audition room. I'd love that. I'm an actor, and many times, and I don't see why they wouldn't do this, but when you're volunteering or working for minimal pay in those positions as sort of part of the audition staff, the idea that you would then say, curious if you would give me, if you would allow me to attempt to read for you, then a kindness is paid. You've done your service. And then they will hopefully reciprocate and say, you had a simple ask. I have an extra 5 minutes. Let's do it. And then you get in the room.
Okay. All right. That makes sense. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
Mhm.
I have a question. Um, I agree with what you said about putting yourself in the room, and if it's not the role that you're looking for, they don't really look at you that way. Because I got involved with the Arizona Theater Company Equity Theater here in Tucson, where I live, and I assisted my friend who was teaching an acting class there, and that was great because I got to know a lot of up and coming actors that are going to be auditioning for them. But then I took a position as a production assistant backstage, and I just felt like I was in the wrong place. But it was great for meeting people. It's not something I want to do again. But
And live and learn, right? So like you
yeah,
experience it, live and learn. And then you
yeah.
say, okay, how do I recalibrate and get near to the people that I need to be near to?
Yes. So nice. I signed up for the acting class at that regional theater this coming semester. So I'm hoping that that's moving me in that right direction. Um,
Awesome.
I'm from Eastern PA, kind of 2 hours outside of New York. That's where I grew up. And I left that area. I lived in Chicago for a little while and now I'm in Arizona. I'm just curious about what brought you to New York. Did you grow up there or did you choose that market for theater specifically? How long have you been living there?
I've been living here for a really long time. I so I grew up in New Jersey, not too far away. And the truth is that I never really wanted to be far from my family. And so uh and we all have sort of our personal attachments. And the truth is, did I dream of New York as a kid? Yes. So I grew up with an aunt who's also a casting director. I grew up watching her work. I obsessively loved it in all capital sparkly letters. And I just knew my place was here. I knew I wanted to go into theater. I did not know what bumps in the road would be for me and what that looked like, but I just knew, like all of you, I had a dream and I was going to figure out my dream where I could. And for me, it was easy enough, more or less, to make a transition to New York. Now, that aunt who is the casting director who lives in LA, this apartment that I'm sitting in right now, if it were not for my aunt, I would not be sitting here. So I pay her great. She's look, she's my inspiration, you know, and she's my mom's sister, and she's in LA and does commercials, mainly commercials and voiceovers, and I think that I knew my place was here, and and that's that. You know, I kind of had in my time away from this area. I went to college at the University of Massachusetts in Amherst. So I was far away from New York and Boston for that matter, because Amherst is kind of like an hour and a half away. And so I kind of had my time on a college campus, but I was very focused on what I wanted. And you know, and that's that, you know, and I had a friend, Barack, and Barack was a little bit older than me. And, you know, in the area where UMass is, there's a 5 college school system. He went to school at Amherst College. He had moved to New York And he had started working for a company called Starcaster, and in LA it was Starcaster. In New York it was Mastercaster. And basically it was a precursor to all of these systems that hook up casting directors with agents. And each time he would go into a different agent's office or a different casting office, he would talk about his friend who was still in school who wanted to be a casting director. And he was the guy who led me to my first job because he was selling a product and he believed in me, his friend who was like his sister, so much because I had a singular vision and he knew that. And he helped me meet that. And that was really early on in my career. And the very first company I worked for was not in theater at all. I did voiceovers. So that was my first official out of college gig. I did voiceover casting. Um, and and the company, in case you're curious, is called Just Voices. It's Just Voices. It's still in existence. I used to answer the phone, Just Voices, this is Robin speaking. My dad who loved that I answered the phone that way, would answer me back and say, this is just your father calling, how are you? And so with his New York accent. Um, and if it weren't for my friend Barack, you know, and you'd think, oh, I have this aunt who's a casting director. And she was an inspiration, sure. And has she tried to get me indoors, or through doors or whatever? Absolutely. But interestingly, with Just Voices, I originally was too young and we were still living in the age of the paper resume that you fax in. And so, because it was the late 90s. And so basically, um, I had to send in my resume a lot. And I went from voiceover casting to another company where I worked on voiceovers and on camera stuff. And that's when I realized, okay, I'm getting away from my vision and everything in life is going to be scary. And I took a leap and I left. It wasn't a good leap, but I did it. Like so many of you take big leaps for things. You know that there's uncertainty and you know that it's scary and you know that there's, it's like danger, 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 but you still do it. And I did that, because again, I had a dream and I wanted to see what could happen. And I think that, it was a good leap because it led me to TheaterWorks. TheaterWorks called me and again, I was too young, but they brought me back in, funny enough. So the artistic director said, what would you like to do in 5 years? And I said, I don't know, cast and be happy. Now, by this point, again, paper resume, but I decided I needed a gimmick. So my resume was then on green vellum paper, sometimes blue, with a fun font. And so, but she remembered the vellum paper resume with a fun font. So here's how small world works. So they had a casting director. They were looking for an associate. I was young. I was 22. And I was like, got this. I got this. Okay. Maybe I was 20. I was either 22 or 23. I was really young at the time. And so I went in for what would be like my millionth interview at TheaterWorks. And Margaret, the casting director, is scanning my resume, and I have my aunt's name on the resume. And I had worked with her at one point. And so she said, and her name is Terry Burland. And so she said, how do you know Terry? And I said, I've known her forever. We don't look alike or sound alike. So, and our names are different. And so she said, interesting. But she sees me open up my notebook and I have very distinctive handwriting because it almost looks like drafter's handwriting. It's all capital and like little squished letters. So she recognizes that because my aunt would bring, when she was teaching, all of her cue cards for her for her classes, and I would write them out for her. And she never let Margaret do that when Margaret was her assistant in LA. So she recognized my handwriting, went out mid-interview with me, and laughed because she started putting the pieces together. Meanwhile, the artistic director walks in or walks by and says, "If she loves you, I love you, and I hope you get the job." And I did. And then 9 months later, Margaret said to me, "I'm leaving. You're taking over." I became a very young head of casting. And I stayed there, like Ashley said, for about 9 years. And then my journey had to continue. Um, and and so about 15 years ago, I again took another leap and I said, let's see what the world holds for me. And I just pounded the pavement like you all pound the pavement. And I've been in this city for close to, despite the fact that I look amazing, I've been in this city for about 28 years. And so, and I love it. And the truth is, at the heart of the matter, I love that I love that I do what I love here and I get to see theater to my heart's content and go to the museums and walk through parks. I don't love when the city gets crazy, but who likes when their city gets crazy? And you know, and I'm close to my mom and I like that I get to go back to the Jersey Shore and visit with my mom, and everyone has their life choices why they go where they need to go and I kind of followed my passions. And I would frustrate my dad by putting all my eggs in one basket, but I was a creative soul. And that's that. So that's my very long answer to your short question.
Thank you.
A lovely, lovely answer to your question. Caroline, did you have another question? Did you have one?
Yeah, I just am curious, like, what's your favorite thing about casting? What made you fall in love with it at such a young age?
It's putting the pieces together. Like, you know, yesterday, did I ever know who Caroline Eaton Picard was? No, not at all. Today I do, like or at least I know your name and your face. I think that it's an amazingly rewarding puzzle. It frustrates me when I'm in the moment because I want it done. But once I see like the work, I'm like, here we are. And I still love when I go to the theater, even if it's not a show I cast, looking around and everyone has like that same feeling of excitement sitting. And every now and again, there's someone who's like miserable. But for the most part, everyone's so excited. And that's how cool is that? And think about this like, my job is about falling in love with people. I get to fall in love with people's creativity all day long. Like, does it get much better? No, it really doesn't. I, and I look, there's always the person that needs someone to champion them. And I think that in my lifetime, I've been able to champion a lot of people, or at least give them some nice advice. And and I always hope that people know that they are needed and wanted. Sometimes you can't get to everyone, but at least I know that if people are walking in my audition room, they know I'm grateful that they're there. And that is it's a nice feeling. It's hard to explain because sometimes you make mistakes, and when you make mistakes, you kick yourself. But I don't know. I it's that's part of what I love about the job. It's the idea that I'm falling in love with talent, I'm giving people opportunities, or I'm inspiring them to go beyond what they think they can do. And that's, oh, I don't know. How many people get to live positively?
I think that's incredible, an incredible outlook on your job. And I think we are lucky as actors to be in a room such as yours. Um, and I am eternally grateful for this hour that you spent with us, for this tiny little class of passionate actors, actresses. Um, and I just thank you so much for this.
You're
Um,
welcome. Sorry,
and
my voice is petering out. I don't
well,
know.
it's late there. It's 10, what? It's
Oh,
9,
nine.
9
Yeah.
o'clock there. But ladies, follow Casting Confidential podcast, number one. Super informative, always great content. And then Robin, how would you like them to follow you on Instagram, or how would you like that?
Certainly, you are more than welcome. It's just my name, Robin Karas, on Instagram.
Because I'm going to cut that out of the recording, just FYI. Only y'all are going to get that.
And the other thing, just so you know, although I'm on Casting Confidential, we call ourselves panelists because the real host of it is Rose Rosen. She's a wonderful casting director, and how that podcast came together. We all met during pandemic time in Clubhouse when Clubhouse was like a thing, and we would talk in these rooms together, and we all just kind of vibed, and we were from all around the country, and obviously during lockdown we had nothing better to do than to yap to actors on our phones, at like midnight. And so we and then when the platform was changing and people were becoming back to, trying to find normal again, we wanted to continue, and we kind of played with some titles, and finally it became Casting Confidential. And Rose kind of rallies us on a week to week basis, and she really it's she is the host of it. There's Kimberly Ehrlich from California, Paisley Baker, who's in the reality space in California, Cheryl Loudon Cuban, who is Atlanta based and does a lot of film and TV and vertical video, and she's ferocious and I adore her to the tips of my toes. And then there's Kimberly Skirm, who does a lot of independent film, both as a or I should say she's like a triple threat because she is a casting director, a director, and a producer. And she's amazing. So I talk with these ladies on a weekly basis, and we all became friends. Some of us still haven't met each other in person yet. We kind of formed our own little sisterhood of the traveling, I don't know, podcast. And so, we do this on the weekly, and every now and again one of us has to drop out, like for an episode because like work gets in the way, and you have to kind of do work. And but we're very dedicated to watching the growth of this because we know it's reaching a lot of actors, and we love that. And we've been really fortunate to have these just amazing, dedicated listeners. And the truth is, like, so last week, Ashley wrote to me, and I don't always like it, like, if maybe like twice a day, I'll kind of like check Instagram. And so when I'm posting for work, I post for work. But messages, I get lazy with that, I have to say. But then I got this message from Ashley saying, I listen. And I'm like, that's so cool. And so I shared it with Rose, and I was like, Rose, we have a fan. And I was like, this is amazing. And so then when Ashley said, will is this a possibility? Could you? And I was like, yes. And like I texted a friend of mine who's not in the business, but I had theater plans, and I was like, theater is Thursday, right? She's like, yes. I was like, Wednesday is free. So that's that. So yeah, so that's how this all.
Listen, listen, listen. It's always got some good stuff. And I love hearing the different perspectives from their different genres that they tend to focus in and the different markets that they focus in. And it's just always got a great perspective. So listen, follow it, like it, subscribe. write the reviews, all of that kind of stuff, because then more people find it. But thank you so much, Robin.
Mm,
I know I don't want to keep you too any longer. I'm just eternally grateful, and I'm sure these ladies will be writing thank you emails in their future.
a good table read. I saw Mary Jane here in New York. Love it. It wrecked me. So
Yeah, it wrecks me every time I read it, so we'll see how it goes. All right, thanks, Robin.
thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
Bye.
you.
Bye bye.
Thank you.
Okay, so let's do our cast introductions. Here's the list in the chat. If you guys will just go in that order, say who you are, where you're located, and what role you're reading for.
Okay. Hi, my name is Kenisha Morgan. I'm located in Atlanta, Georgia, and I'm playing Ruthie and Sherry.
Hi, my name is Amy Crater. I live in Tucson, Arizona, and I'll be reading for Brianne, CHAYA, and TENKEI.
Hi, I'm Caroline Eaton Pickard. I'm based in Austin, Texas. I'll be reading for Amelia, Kat, and Dr. Toros.
And hi, I'm Natalia Montgomery. I'm based in Los Angeles, California, and I'll be reading the narrator lines.
Lovely. You guys know who I am. So, let's get started. Natalia, if you will start at the characters page
Mhm.
and read the characters, the setting, all of that, and then we'll um, go into the play.
Absolutely.
The show is yours.
Our characters are Mary Jane, a woman in her 30s. In part one, we have Ruthie, a building superintendent, Sherry, a nurse, Brianne, a Facebook friend, and Amelia, Sherry's niece, a college student. And in part two, we have Dr. Toros, a pediatric intensivist, Chaya, a Hasidic woman, Kat, a music therapist, and Tenkei, a Buddhist nun. Besides Mary Jane, all the roles are doubled so that 5 actors are required. Ruthie and Tenkei, who should be in her 60s or 70s, Sherry and Dr. Toros, 40s or 50s, Brianne and Chaya, 30s or early 40s, Amelia and Kat, 20s. Our setting is New York City. Part one takes place in the living room slash kitchen of a junior one-bedroom apartment in Queens. Mary Jane also sleeps in this room. And part two takes place in the parents' room on the pediatric floor of a Manhattan hospital, a shared room in the pediatric ICU, or PICU. Ideally, the play is performed without an intermission. Our time is nowish, June through October. And there's an author's note about a forward slash indicating overlapping dialogue where the following line should interrupt. Part one, scene one. I'd be better off dancing in a forest. Mary Jane's apartment, the living room slash kitchen of a small one-bedroom apartment in Queens. In the living room is a pull-out couch that serves as Mary Jane's bed. Ruthie is plunging the kitchen sink, and trying to fish muck out. Mary Jane has a genuine easy cheer.
And you know, when the train stops underground and you're waiting, like, okay, train traffic ahead or whatever, but there's no announcement. And after a while, the engine cuts out, the lights dim, and there's this collective groan of, oh,
Mm-hmm.
no. And we had these kids in our car, these break dancers, like showtime. What time is it? Showtime. And they had already done their little, well, not little, these guys were actually. I noticed some people don't watch on principle. They bury their heads in their phones, and I always feel like they're kids. And I'm sorry, I can't stand on my hands while the subway car is moving. So I admit it, I'm impressed.
Right. Yeah.
So the train has stopped, and they had already done their whatever. And I was the only person who had given them anything, 60 cents or whatever was in my pocket, and they're sort of seething. And the doors to the next car are locked, so they're stuck and they're mad at us. They're so mad.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
One of them says really loudly, he says, I'd be better off dancing in a forest, which I thought was just so funny. In a forest. But we were stopped for more than 20 minutes due to a sick passenger, they said.
That happened to me last week.
Uh-huh.
We were stopped 30, 40 minutes.
Yeah.
He said it was someone under the train.
What?
Yeah, he finally came on and said we're delayed due to someone under the train.
She goes back to plunging.
It's been draining slowly for a while.
Yep.
Guess I should have called you earlier.
It's usually the bathroom sink
Hmm.
that gets clogged.
Right, because of the,
Hair, yep, and dead skin. I might have to call the plumber.
I'm sorry, Ruthie.
Not your fault. Oh, pipes.
You want a Coke?
Yeah.
Mary Jane gets 2 cans of Coke. They open them and sip.
You're alone here tonight?
Rhonda called out sick.
Which one's Rhonda?
Short hair?
Nose ring?
Nose ring.
Yeah, yeah.
No, that's Louisa. She moved to Florida.
I don't think I met Rhonda.
You want to meet her?
Yeah, she's gonna be coming in and out of the building.
I'll introduce you.
Florida. Huh.
You always lived here, Ruthie?
I was born up in Troy. You know, Troy? It's never mind. I've lived here since I was like a teenager, ran away from home.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Why?
The usual reasons.
You have kids?
I do.
He doesn't elaborate. Pause. A monitor beeps off stage. Mary Jane goes into the bedroom for 10 or 20 seconds. The loud drone of the suction machine can be heard, then the sound of it sucking up some saliva. The beeping stops. Mary Jane returns, resumes her seat and her Coke.
You seem to be you seem to be someone who's carrying a lot of tension in her body.
Really?
I'm partly inferring and partly it's what I see in your body.
Okay.
You're very nice, very pleasant. You're very pleasant. And with what you're dealing with, I wonder if you have an outlet for expression if you're absorbing that all in your body. It's just a thought. It's just, I don't know. It might not be a useful thought.
No, it's
Because that's how my sister got cancer.
oh,
Not to scare you, it was Hodgkin's lymphoma, which is a good kind. You don't want non-Hodgkin's. You don't want non-Hodgkin's lymphoma.
right.
She's doing well. She's Ned. That means no evidence of disease.
Great.
They don't they don't say cancer's free. That's not the right thing to say because actually no one is cancer free. You have cancers in your body right now, springing up all the time that your body shuts down. They say Ned, no evidence of disease. She's doing well.
I'm so glad.
But chemo
Sure.
was poison. They dumped poison in her veins. My sister said she could taste it in her mouth. It tasted like metal. Now she does a lot of different things now. She's changed her life around. She meditates. She does Tai Chi. It's very inspiring. It's inspiring to me because she didn't have to take such a positive. She could have just, a lot of people do. I
Absolutely.
thought maybe I don't have to get cancer first. I can learn from her. It's something I wanted to share with you. It might not be useful. It's an offering. It's just an offering.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
So you,
I do yoga. I swim at the Y. I get deep tissue massage, but that's me. There are all different ways to,
right.
but it's the body. That's what I've learned. Your traumas written in the cells of your body.
I feel,
Uh-huh.
I feel pretty good most of the time. I'm tired,
Sure.
but I think sometimes when people look at me, people who know what's going on and
Uh-huh.
like they're like, whoa. But actually being inside it, I don't know, it's not so, I think you'd be surprised.
As I said, it was an offering.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
The monitor beeps off stage. Mary Jane stands. It stops beeping. She sits back down.
What about the closet door? Is that
Perfect. No problem since you fixed that.
Good.
I'm very tired.
Well, yeah, because you have
I used to be someone who treasured sleep. I cherished it. Before you had to ask me if there was one thing I couldn't do without, I would have said sleep,
but you adjust.
it's amazing.
It's amazing. It
Yeah.
is
The
amazing.
things that just become what
But they are, yeah.
when Alex was born, a friend of mine, she's moved to San Diego. Her father was, anyway, she had been through a lot of stuff. And when Alex was born, she said to me, Mary Jane, you'll still have good days and bad days. And at the time, I was like, that's the kind of thing I couldn't understand it at all.
Your brain
I mean,
was
it wasn't a bad thing. It just wasn't,
great.
No, it wasn't.
Timely.
No. Anyway, now I think what my friend said, now I think that was the best thing maybe that anybody could say to me at the time, the truest.
Uh-huh. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Ruthie notices something.
What?
Mary Jane looks where Ruthie is looking.
You don't have the window guards up?
I
Uh,
I'm sorry, Ruthie. I took them down. I'm sorry.
just in here or in the
Yes,
bedroom too?
that he loves looking out the windows, especially when he's sick, and I can't take him outside. It seems like such a small thing, but the bars actually do bother him.
I understand. It's the law.
I know.
Even if you can't climb up, I know that.
I know, you know.
I, but I checked. I did check, and there are no exceptions for kids like Alex.
I just thought you did your job. You installed them. You're in the clear. It was me who took them down, and if anything happens, I can't imagine how anything could, but I would take responsibility.
But now I saw it. I saw that they're not in there.
Right. But right. I understand.
I mean, I guess I guess it's possible I wouldn't have noticed.
You were in here for 10 minutes before.
Let's not talk about it. Let's not talk about it anymore.
Okay.
Ruthie adjusts her body to not see out the window.
Can I just say that I admire your seriousness when it comes to your job? You're an excellent superintendent. You're easily the best superintendent I've ever had.
Thank you.
She finishes her Coke and goes to the sink. She plunges one more time. No dice. She puts down the plunger, resigned.
Okay.
Scene 2. Like the sun was packed in Mary Jane and Sherry sit at the kitchen table eating their separate dinners.
I took Amelia to get her hair done today.
Mm-hmm.
My regular hairdresser who knows me well.
Right, the one with the child who.
Yes, I've told you about my hairdresser. She said to Amelia, "How long are you staying with your auntie?" Amelia said, "I don't know. I bought a one-way ticket." My baby sister keeps asking, when is she coming home? I miss my daughter.
Aww.
No, but my sister's happy to have her out of the house because Amelia is so shy. She spent like her teenage years reading in her room, and she's been living at home while she's in college. And she told me she's still a virgin. She said, "I'm not ready."
How old is she?
She's going to be 22.
Well, good for her.
That's what I said. I said, don't rush it. But I was surprised. Almost 22.
I think it's great. I can't remember any of the sex I had before 22.
Me neither.
One. Nope. Nope. Nothing.
That's what I told her. I said, college boys, you haven't missed anything. You can do better yourself. Then I told my sister, I said, she's still a virgin. She said, really? She didn't know.
No.
Well, Amelia doesn't tell her mother anything. It's because she wants to be her mother. I've told my sister that. I said, you see how she watches you? You see how she admires you? But my sister doesn't see that. It's hard to be a mother. It's hard to be a daughter. We're all laughing, right, at my hairdressers. She said, I don't know when I'm going home. I bought a one-way ticket.
She loves visiting you.
I have no regrets about not having children. I focus on my career, on my friends. That was right for me, but I love being an aunt. I told her she can come meet Alex. I said, you have to meet my little prince. I show her pictures. She says he's the handsomest little boy she's ever seen.
Oh, bring her. Oh, please bring her. We would love to meet her.
We'll see. She's still shy.
Mary Jane opens her laptop to do some work.
Can you get these printed before I come in at... No, I can't, Kelly, because I have to drop Alex off at his day program at 8:30, and you know that.
She writes back.
That woman?
She wants to do the right thing by me so much. She does. She's also trying to climb the ladder. It's just like, it's a daily moral agony for her. I tell you, it's really something to behold.
I still say you should go to nursing school. You're natural. The money's much better than what you're doing.
If I could get paid to take care of Alex, I'd do it.
It should work like that, but it doesn't.
Anyway, I can't get any more student loans. I'm sure I'm on one of those, like some kind of blacklist. You type my name into the computer and big like X comes up, like when you get a strike in bowling.
I remember the day I finished paying my loans, I got myself a steak and about a bottle of Cabernet.
Rub it in, Sherry.
A monitor beeps off stage. Mary Jane stands.
I got it.
Sherry exits. A moment later, the beeping stops. Sherry re-enters, rolling the IV pole for Alex's feedings.
It was just a sensor. He kicked it off in its sleep. It's lost all the stick.
I meant to call today about getting new ones.
Putting it on your list.
Thank you, darling.
Sherry makes a note that begins to prepare a G-tube feeding.
When I picked up Alex up at his program this afternoon,
Mm-hmm.
he had a toy on his tray, one of those busy boxes. He couldn't quite make the animals pop up, but he was reaching for it and he was trying to
Uh-huh.
and who's that cute little girl, the deaf one?
Zavia? Or Zoe, she also has hearing aids.
Zoe, yes, she ran up to his chair and grabbed the toy right off his tray, and Alex just looked at her, that look.
Yeah.
Really? You're just gonna go ahead and take that? Anybody gonna help me? Teachers? Anybody? Ah! And I was laughing. And Miss Dana said he makes us laugh all day. He's our little comedian.
God, he was playing with a toy. He usually just wants to sit and watch the fish in that dinky little tank.
He loves those fish.
I gotta get him to the aquarium this summer. Someone told me they have sea lions that act out skits, and the Natural History Museum, the planetarium.
Yes, dream big, mommy, dream.
You don't think I could do it?
I absolutely 100% think you can do it.
Hey, is your garden okay? All of the rain?
Oh, it's fine. I live on a slight hill. That's nice of you to ask.
Thinking of you, that was crazy.
Wasn't it? Amelia said, "Is this normal for New York?" And I said, "There is no more normal."
Right?
No, the garden is fine. The tomatoes will ripe next month and I'll bring you some.
Oh, those tomatoes.
I remember how much you liked
Ugh,
them.
they were like little bursts of like the sun was packed in a oh my God, they were so good.
This year, I'll bring you some basil too.
Sherry hangs the bag of formula on the IV pole. She goes to set the rate on the feeding pump.
I better get his night feed started. Are we doing 45 per hour?
Tonight, let's do 30
Why so slow?
because he vomited last night.
I thought we had that figured out.
Well, maybe we do. I think that never mind.
No. What? Who was here last night? Donna?
I think he needed suctioning. He was flat on his back and he might have had a little mini seizure. I was recovering from I had a migraine yesterday afternoon.
Oh no.
It wasn't that bad, but so I was sleeping post migraine, dead sleep, and I heard the oxygen monitor going off, and I was lying there like maybe if I just lie here quietly with my eyes closed, it'll go away, but it didn't. So I went in there, and he was on his back gagging, and
And
and she works two other jobs.
asleep?
She woke up when he vomited. She helped me clean him up.
Oh, so she did you that favor?
She acted like it was a favor.
I'm gonna tell the agency.
No.
That's not acceptable and it's not safe.
They won't be able to fill the shifts. We've already lost so many nurses because they're scared that they say this case is too hard.
It's not hard. These are highly trained RNs making $50 an hour. They can stay awake and pay attention.
Well, it's not exactly a luxurious work environment.
What are you talking about?
Tashina told me that when she's at her other case, she has her own room with the TV and there's one of those coffee makers with the little pod.
She shouldn't have told you that.
Don't tell the agency I don't want any more empty shifts. We have 3 anyway this month, and those nights I just don't sleep. Please.
Sherry sets the rate on the pump and rolls it off stage into the bedroom. After a few moments, we hear the beep of the pump starting, then the faint whirring of the motor, then a few seconds of the loud suction machine.
Shh. Shh. That's okay. My prince.
Mary Jane works on her computer. Sherry re-enters.
If he sees last
He
night,
may not have. I didn't actually see him seize.
but if he did,
Yeah.
maybe a good idea is to call his neurologist. There might be some room to go up on the medication because that would be the second time.
I hope that's not what he did.
Me too.
Mary Jane nods. Sherry goes into the kitchen for a final errand, perhaps rinsing out the suction canister. Mary Jane watches her.
You brought us those tomatoes a year ago?
Mm-hmm.
You've been working for us over a year.
A little over a year.
Happy anniversary.
Sherry finishes what she's doing. She turns off a light.
Get some sleep.
Scene 3. Ladybug. In darkness, the sound of a music box playing softly. Mary Jane stirs from her sleep on the pull-out couch. A few moments later, she sits up. She goes to the sink for a glass of water. Sherry enters, silhouetted in the doorframe.
He's up.
Playing, smiling. Doesn't want to sleep.
She holds out a toy.
Battery's dead.
Mary Jane takes the toy, a stuffed ladybug with a hard plastic shell. Sherry exits into the bedroom. In darkness, Mary Jane searches in a drawer and finds new batteries. When she pops them in, the ladybug lights up, casting stars and a crescent moon on the ceiling and walls through holes in its plastic shell. Red, then blue, then green, then red again. Mary Jane stops where she is, slowly moving the ladybug around and watching the constellations spin. Offstage, the music box has slowed and Sherry rewinds it. It continues. Mary Jane lies on her bed with the ladybug on her belly, stargazing. Scene 4. How do you come back from that? Mary Jane is making drinks in the kitchen. Brianne is taking notes.
If they don't offer you all of the services you think he needs, say PT or speech therapy, you don't sign at the end of the meeting. That's what I didn't learn for the first year. You don't have to sign. And if you don't sign, you go to mediation.
Mediation?
It's a meeting with a neutral person. It's just another meeting. I've had good luck with mediation. It's always worth it to ask. The system can be intimidating, but right? But if you're asking for what's reasonable, then you shouldn't.
So if what if it turns out that what I think is reasonable, but it just turns out he needs more?
You can always ask for an increase. You don't have to wait for oh, this is important. They don't tell you this. You don't have to wait for one of the meetings with the city to ask for an increase. The meeting you're having next week, you're going to have one like what, every 6 months, but you can ask for an increase in services at any time.
Anytime.
These meetings, to warn you, they can last like 3 hours, and I literally don't know what they're for. They'll say, "What are your goals for Alex in the next 6 months?" And I say, one of my goals is for him to get some head control." And they say, "So that," and I say, "So that he can hold up his head." And they say, "In order to," and the answer is always to better explore his environment. Okay. They don't say it. You have to say it. And I swear I'm saving you days of your life with that. Oh, equipment. So I don't forget. Never mind. I can come back to that.
Equipment?
At the meeting next week, request an equipment evaluation. You're going to need a positioning chair.
Mary Jane
Thank
comes
you.
over with the drink.
Cheers.
Cheers.
A positioning chair?
For sitting at the table for feedings. You'll get one with a tiny, this may seem like a ton, but I didn't get it on the equipment train until Alex was like 1.5, and I was in a bad mood. No, excuse me. I was mad. Nobody told me, and the reason they don't tell you is because it
Oh.
costs them money.
Oh, no, go on.
An adaptive stroller is make sure it's weighted so they can carry a suction machine on the back. You have to have portable suction, right? And is he on oxygen?
Oh, just at night.
Oh, that's good. This is our stroller. It's made by a company called Autobach. All of the equipment is made by a German and Scandinavian companies, which means it's a great design, but it's a huge pain to get replacement parts. Oh, a bath chair, an adjustable bath chair that can recline. Double check there's no metal. This should be obvious, but it rusts.
Mary Jane hands Brianne a stroller hook she found.
AFOs, which are foot and ankle braces, they come in really cute patterns. Alex loves his.
What's this?
That's the kind of stroller hook you need to hang the suction machine on the stroller. You can't get just any kind, get that kind, but keep that one. It's extra.
Thank you.
For trunk support, you're welcome. For trunk support, there are different kinds of vests. They prevent scoliosis and help with sitting up, with stamina for sitting. Oh, God, what am I forgetting? Get a stander. Get a
A
stander.
stander?
It'll support him while he stands. It holds him upright so it improves bone density and joint formation. Growing kids need to stand. Here, look.
She has brought something up on her phone.
That's Alex and his stander. See? So he's strapped in.
Okay, yeah, uh-huh. But doesn't that hurt?
No, he likes it.
She puts her phone away.
Do you have some questions? I know I'm going so fast.
Um, um, I don't know that I actually get the point of the bath chair.
Oh,
I go in the bath with him. I just hold him.
right. But as he gets bigger and heavier, I mean, Alex is only 2.5, but I already have back pain from lifting him. It just keeps getting harder.
Mary Jane realizes that Brienne is crying. Mary Jane is suddenly mortified by all the talking she has been doing. She gets Brienne a tissue.
I'll be fine. Just 1 second.
Oh, listen to me. I'm like, wah, 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 wah. I'm sorry, Brian.
No, this is so nice of you. Oh,
Um, so how do you know Kelly?
she was at my high school. She was a few years above me. I don't really, we're just Facebook friends. So she saw some of my posts after Seth was born and she told me I should message you.
I work for Kelly. She's my boss.
Oh, so you're in real estate development?
I'm an administrative assistant.
Oh, okay.
I was getting my teaching degree when Alex was born. Had to put that on hold for a minute.
An alarm sounds in the other room, a different alarm than we've heard before. Mary Jane gives it a few seconds before calling off.
Donna, is that the feeding?
The alarm continues.
Donna,
She waits a few more seconds. Just as she's standing to go into the other room, the alarm stops.
thank you.
Is Kelly nice to work for?
Yeah.
Like I said, I don't really know her.
Wait, what did my face just do?
She's tough.
No, yeah, there's been some stress on the job lately. I'm out of sick days and vacation days, and it's only July. It's a little tense. It's a little
No.
tense.
Oh no.
She went to college with my sister. They were tight, so she hired me a year ago as a favor to my sister because I needed the benefits. It's great health insurance. It covers home nursing and everything. I really am so grateful.
Uh-huh.
But Alex had a bad winter. They were in the hospital a couple of times, and I'm letting Kelly down, and that's kind of a loaded situation. She's a good person. She's doing her best.
Did you see the latest update about the
Sometimes I think I should be the one to tell her to stop.
Definitely not.
Is it actually worse not to tell her?
Facebook in general for me right now with what's been going on with the baby, like
I know.
I'm like, the world is like this. People are like this, especially with their kids.
Do you work?
I'm so lucky I don't have to right now. My husband's
Good.
I was only planning on taking my 10 weeks of paid leave, but then
That's great to have the time.
yeah, no, I know I'm really lucky. Oh, I'll get back to it though. I miss working. I'm in PR.
That sounds fast-paced.
Before Seth was born, I was just starting to break into disaster management, which is what I really want to do.
You did PR for disasters?
Yeah, like crisis management, reputation management for corporations.
Oh, I thought like disasters, like this hurricane has a real name recognition problem. Like, how do we spend this mudslide?
No, it would be more of like if this national chain has an E. coli outbreak and a few people die.
Right.
or like a CEO of a company turns out to be a child molester, like that kind of thing. Like, how do you come
Mm,
back from that? Like,
mm.
so you need a comprehensive vision for like,
Challenging. Yeah.
I really like it. So, what do you teach?
Middle school math.
Aw.
Mary
Yeah.
Jane's phone rings. It's startlingly loud, a pop song or something.
Oh, I'm so sorry. That's so rude. I have it on volume so I can hear it over the.
Oh,
Oh,
no, go.
it's Alex's neurologist.
Oh, go ahead. Yeah,
She
go
just
ahead.
said I've been waiting all day.
Please. Yeah.
Hey, Doc, working late? I have exactly a minute. I have a friend here.
Oh,
Um, no, no, go ahead. Can I interrupt you because that doesn't make sense to me? Because the seizures were tiny. They couldn't have caused what you're seeing. That's what you're thinking you're seeing on the MRI. He's had way worse seizures without getting any changes to the 24 hours in the hospital. Okay, well, if that's just what we gotta do, I'll call in the morning schedule. But to be clear, you're not sure what you're seeing, right? That's why we have to do more tests. Thanks, Dr. M. Yeah, get some rest. One thing you learn is that you can't get too worked up about every piece of bad news because sometimes they're wrong. A big chunk of the time, they've been wrong.
oh, sure. Yeah. Mm.
So to back up a little bit,
Yeah.
you have a picture.
Ugh.
Brienne finds a picture on her phone and hands the phone to Mary Jane.
What? Stop it. Stop it.
She throws the phone down on the couch, stands up, walks around the couch, and then, ready to confront the cuteness again, picks it up and looks at the picture.
He's not having it. He is not. He's like,
I know. He's got attitude.
oh, good for you, said. You give him hell. You hear me? You give those motherfuckers hell.
Scene 5. Why are you sorry? Offstage in Alex's bedroom, Mary Jane can be heard singing along to a video for toddlers. Sherry lets herself in with Amelia behind her. She gestures to Amelia to be quiet.
I'm here.
Hi, Sherry.
Mary Jane, can you come in here?
Oh, yep. Everything okay?
Hi.
Well, can I hug you?
Yeah,
I've heard so much about you, young lady.
you too.
What can I get you both? You want water or tea? I might have some cookies somewhere.
No, thank you.
You sure?
We had an early dinner, so I don't need anything.
How was last night? I heard Rhonda was sick.
She can't kick the sinus infection.
Did they find a sub?
You want to meet Alex?
Yeah,
Hand sanitizer. How's he's doing?
Punky, not a happy camper. I don't know if it's. Go ahead in. He's in his chair watching a video. I'll be right there. Oh, and constipated. I was just going to do some prune juice with the G tube. We went up on a seizure meds. They're not supposed to be constipating, but who knows?
hi, Alex.
You did go up on the meds.
Hello.
And I have to bring him in overnight next week for some tests.
Why?
I'll tell you later.
I'm not sure he knows I'm here.
He does, sweetie. Come here.
Mary Jane exits into the bedroom with Amelia. Sherry prepares prune juice in a syringe.
Alex, baby boy. Hey. Hey. Hey, kiddo. Hey, space case. This is Amelia. This pretty girl came a long way to see you, you lucky kid. Can you look at her? Can you look at her, sweetie?
That's okay.
Oh, he's playing it cool. You're full of baloney, mister. I'm on to you.
No.
He's so cute.
He's kind of glassy. I think I wiped him out with 12 hours of mom time.
Why didn't he go to his day program?
staff development day, something. I wasn't the only parent who missed the memo and showed up with my kid. You know, Haley, she has autism. She spins around all day when her mom puts her in these adorable skirts that fly out, so she looks like she's on the top of a music box.
Mhm.
Haley and her mom were there too this morning. They were banging on the door in the rain. It was hilarious. And somebody finally came out and sent us away. And we all went to a diner for breakfast. And it wasn't busy. And they gave us our own section where Haley could spin. And the noise from Alex's machines didn't bother anyone. And it was fantastic.
So you miss work again.
He has beautiful eyes. They're so big.
We'll let him rest and try again later.
Did you pick up the vitamin?
That's what I forgot. That's one of the things I forgot.
I'm back tomorrow night. I'll get it.
No,
It's easy for me if
I can't let you.
Yes, you can.
How do you like New York City?
It's different.
From Durham?
Well, like a half hour outside.
I've never been.
I think that's okay.
She's like, I think that's okay.
It's nice down there. I told you I'm going to retire down there.
What did I say about the R word?
Not anytime soon.
I interrupted you.
Oh, no, I don't think so. I've only gone into Manhattan a couple times so far. We went to Times Square, and last week we went to the 9/11 museum.
I've been meaning to get down there.
It was really
It's powerful. If you go, they'll make plans for right afterwards. Leave yourself some time to
yeah, we needed like a couple hours.
Right.
Yeah. But mostly I've been relaxing and volunteering a little bit.
Sherry told me at a senior center.
Yeah.
What do you do there?
It depends on what they want. There's one lady I mostly read to her. Her eyes aren't so good anymore, but she's pretty sharp.
What do you read?
Mystery novels. She loves them, and she's hilarious because sometimes like halfway through, I mean, like I've read like 4 or 5 hours out loud and she's like, oh, I've read this one before. I know who did it. But then she wants me to finish anyway. Like she's so funny.
What a great thing to do.
Yeah. I've always liked old people. It's a weird thing about me.
That's how we get along so well.
Aunt Sherry.
Don't even dignify it with a response.
Nothing's wrong with getting old.
I'm looking forward to it. My sister, last time she visited, pointed out these right here. You know, she said, just a little Botox would clear those right up. I said, I earned those. I earned those lines. There's no one's taking those away from me. And she was like, just a little Botox.
I'm gonna do his vitals and get set up for the night.
It's a wacky mess in there, but don't clean. I'll do it later.
Alex, the great. Sleepy?
She's gonna clean.
Let's make your bed so you can rest.
Yep.
Hey, what's your tattoo?
Oh, it's a Jane symbol. It stands for literally it's like non-injury.
Beautiful.
Thanks. I'm kind of embarrassed by it now because it's not like I'm Jane or something. Like it's random. I like ran out and got it the second I turned 18 because you need parental consent if you're a minor, and my mom was like not going for that. She was like, absolutely, you can get 2 M's tattooed on either side of your belly button so it reads MON. But otherwise, you are not defacing the body that I gave you. So I had to wait till I was 18, which it turns out is still too early.
How's college been going?
Good. I think my expectations were too high. Because high school was hard and everyone's like, college is going to be so much better.
Right.
Like all cool people have a hard time in high school, and then college is amazing. And so I was like, I guess I'm really cool because high school was a nightmare. But then I rushed some sororities and I didn't get into one.
Oh.
And now I'm like, I'm probably better off. But at the time,
Sure.
it was my first semester and I was just like, like, what did I do in the 2 lunches that I had with these girls to make them be like, nope, like that's enough of that person for the rest of my life? And my mom was really big into her sorority. Like she still talks to her sorority sisters. So she was really upset. And then I had to like manage her emotions on top of mine.
No, Mom, no.
It's definitely better now. Like I found a couple people that I
What? What?
did you know you do that thing when I'm talking where you like you imitate my expressions?
No. No, I
You,
don't.
yeah, you're doing it right now.
No, I'm not.
Yes, you are.
I can't imagine what those girls were thinking when they rejected you.
Oh, you were probably in a sorority, right?
Did they have sororities at my school? I mean, I guess they must have. Where I went, it was less about fraternities and sororities and more about hallucinogens. In the mountains, it was so gorgeous. I used to hike. I used to get high and hike in the mountains. True story, Amelia. Seems like a different life.
Up, up, up we go.
I never do drugs. It's not like I'm against it. Like I just get really intimidated when people around me are doing drugs and like I don't think I could even take a bong hit, you know. And some people they assume that I smoke pot because I'm not like mainstream, I guess, but no, my biggest fear is being at a party and someone's like, "Hey, can you do me a favor and roll this joint?"
I don't think you need to start doing drugs, but you should know that if you did, you'd be just as good as everybody else, maybe better.
Low grade fever.
What? No, I checked right before you got here.
He must be spiking just now.
How high?
100.9. He's fast asleep.
Oh, kiddo.
Sherry goes, sorry. Sherry goes to the kitchen cupboard to prepare Tylenol in a syringe.
Kiddo. Oh, kiddo. Are you giving him?
Sherry holds up the syringe on her way back into the bedroom.
I wish she could tell me when something's wrong. I just wish she could tell me. That's the one thing. Ay, ay, me, oh my. Sing a sad song for poor old Mary Jane.
Don't worry about me. Do whatever you need to.
Nothing to do except wait. I'm glad to have your company.
So he can't make any noise?
Mm. One of his vocal cords is paralyzed. You can ask me anything you want about Alex.
You probably get sick of talking about it.
Nope.
Well, Aunt Sherry gave me a basic like so cognitively is he
Well, it's hard to know exactly because of his physical limitations.
uh-huh.
Is he cognitively completely typical? Maybe not, but well, you'll see another time when he's feeling we have reason to believe there's a lot going on upstairs. My feeling is that when I talk to him, he understands me completely.
He does.
At first, I thought maybe it would be better if he didn't understand. I thought with all of the challenges and how sick he is, I'd rather he wasn't really aware. It's hilarious to me now how wrong I was that first year. Ugh, yikes. Brutal. I'm glad I'm meeting you now and not then, Amelia.
Um, when did you know?
That there was a problem. My water broke at 25 weeks.
Oh,
As a reference point, I had barely started wearing maternity clothes.
okay.
I didn't know anything about it. I'd heard that they could save babies who came early like that, so I just thought, okay, it's going to be a tough few weeks, so I'll get through it. They kept him for as long as they could, and he was born at 25 weeks and 4 days. We named him Alexander after my ex's dad. Then, on his second day, he had all these tubes in his mouth and his tiny nose. It was wild, like spaghetti strung through him everywhere. And on his second day, they told us he had a brain bleed. They didn't know how bad. They didn't know which parts of his brain were affected. They weren't sure he was going to live. And that was that was strange because I hadn't met Alex yet, you know? He was inside this glass cage. I wasn't allowed to hold him, and I was looking at the ultrasound. I'm looking inside of my son's brain. And the doctor's saying, this is what this is, and this is what this is, and we're concerned about this here. Mm. Then he had a bad panic attack that night. It turned out to be a panic attack. We thought it was a heart attack when it was happening. So I was back and forth between ER and the NICU, and I hadn't been discharged yet myself. I was wearing slippers and a hospital gown, limping back and forth down these hallways, bleeding like I had been harpooned. Too much? And one time I came back from the ER and Alex was gone. Where his isolette had been, there was just some disconnected wires on the floor. So I'm running around the NICU screaming like a madwoman, looking at every baby in the isolette, trying to find my kid. But I didn't I didn't even really know what he looked like. So I was just they had moved him to one of the private rooms for the sickest babies, and that was the one time I just lost it. I screamed at this poor nurse who I'm sure she had nothing to do with it. And you're gonna move my baby and not tell me this kind of place? Is this kind of place you run here? And I heard myself and I fell into the chair laughing. It was so ridiculous. Danny got some pills and I sent him home to rest. The middle of that night, they told me Alex wasn't going to make it, so I should say goodbye. I didn't know how to do that. I told him, I told him he was wanted. I don't, I don't even know why that occurred to me. Really, I don't even know if that was true then, honestly. I just kept saying, "You're wanted. Know that you're wanted." In the morning, I was discharged, and he was still alive. I went home to get some rest, knowing that was a gamble, but Danny wasn't there. Well, the rest you know. He lived. Our neurologist says it's a miracle how much he can do, considering how bad the bleed was. They thought he'd basically sleep through his whole life, but you'll come again sometime when he's feeling better. You'll see.
Danny never came back.
Oh, of course he did. He tried. He really tried. But it's hell for him not being a part of Alex's life. But I just couldn't. I hope he finds some peace. I really
He's seizing. Did you hear me? He's seizing.
Mary Jane springs into action and exits into the bedroom, leaving Amelia alone on stage.
Okay, Alex, okay.
Let's move that.
Okay, baby boy.
Alex, Mama's here, okay? Mama's right here. Do you have the diastat?
Getting it now.
Can I do anything?
Whoa.
Whoa, 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 whoa. Easy boy, easy boy. Where's the diastat?
It's not there?
No, I don't.
Okay.
No, I don't like this color.
Breathe, baby. Mama's here. Alex, Mama's right here.
I think we need to call. I don't like this. I don't like it, okay?
Okay.
Amelia, do you have your phone?
Yes.
Call 911.
Amelia goes into her bag, can't find the phone, starts dumping things out.
Are you calling?
Yes.
Come on, Alex. Come on, sweet boy.
What do I say?
Say baby's not breathing.
Baby's not breathing?
Here it is.
Where are we? Where are we?
8710 34th Avenue.
8710 34th.
8710 what?
34th Avenue.
8710 30.
One of you.
34th Avenue. 8710 34th Avenue.
34th Avenue, 8710 34th Avenue.
In Queens.
In Queens.
You hold him. I'll insert the medicine.
Is there an apartment number?
Okay, it's in. Ambu bag.
You're gonna feel better real soon, honey.
Mary Jane, ambu bag.
Yes, I'm hooking it up to the...
Now, please.
2F. It's apartment 2F. Yeah, F is in Frank. Is he still not breathing?
Is the oxygen all the way up?
Yes.
Get the pulse. Ox on him.
I'm not sure. I think he's still not breathing.
Okay, kiddo. You're doing great. You're doing great.
He's 2, I think.
That's my guy. You're doing so good.
Do we have a reading yet?
It's coming. It's coming.
He has cerebral palsy, and I think some other things.
Tell them he has a seizure disorder and lung disease.
He has a seizure disorder and lung disease.
Come on, Alex. Come on.
It's not reading. Why isn't it reading?
Shoot, the sensor, it's all...
Yes, his mother and his nurse.
There goes.
Oh,
There is.
okay.
All right, all right.
Oh,
Okay, I will.
can we reinforce with tape?
Yep.
What's going on?
Are they on their way?
Are you on your way?
Mary Jane gets tape out of the kitchen drawer and then gently takes the phone from shaken Amelia.
Hi, do you think they'll be much longer? That should be fine. I'm going to hang up, okay? Thank you so much. Thanks for your help.
I'm so sorry.
Oh, honey, why are you sorry?
Part 2. Scene 1. To Fine a Point. The parents' room. A few tables and chairs, a full-sized fridge, a small kosher fridge, an ancient microwave, a coffee machine, a water and ice machine. Mary Jane sits eating an individual serving of cereal. Dr. Toros enters.
I'm so sorry, Mom.
Hey, Dr. Toros.
I got stuck on a new admission.
It's busy, huh?
No room at the inn. The ER is all backed up downstairs.
When's that new wing going to be finished? I keep hearing about it.
Construction's been pushed back and pushed back. 2029. That's our joke, we say. But in 2029, everything will be peachy.
2029, that's funny.
Anyway, I apologize for keeping you waiting.
Don't worry.
Shall we go to the bedside?
He finally just fell asleep. I'd rather talk here if that's okay, eat my breakfast. Or,
Yeah, if someone comes in, we can move.
oh, I don't mind if anyone hears.
I'm technically not supposed to discuss patients in public areas.
Oh, I'm creating a problem for you. I'm sorry.
No, you're not. Some of these rules are just, you know. Sorry, Mom, long night. For you too, I bet. Here is fine.
Can I offer you some Rice Krispies? They accidentally gave me 2.
A windfall.
Right?
I haven't had Rice Krispies since I was a kid.
Take it. I think you'll find it comforting.
I'm not gonna eat your food.
I'm not going to eat it.
I have a whole home-cooked breakfast waiting for me back in the staff room.
Now you're bragging.
Oh, sorry.
I'm just teasing you. Bad joke, Mary Jane.
No, it was. How are you holding up? Are you getting any sleep?
I've been cobbling it together.
You stayed every night, right?
I got one of the good pull-out chairs this time.
Can't be that good.
You might be surprised.
I'm gonna give you a little speech, okay?
Uh-oh.
You can take a night off. You can take 2 nights off. Our nurses are top-notch. Alex is in great hands. Do you work?
I'm on leave right now.
All I can say is I've seen a lot of parents come through here. Okay, it's important to take care of yourself. Sleep in your own bed, take a bubble bath.
Doing fine. A little smelly, maybe.
But
Sorry.
that wasn't what I was.
I know. Thank you for your concern. I'm hanging in there, Doc. I just want to get through this and take my little guy home.
Well, we want to help you do that.
Should I go ahead with my questions?
Yeah.
Okay. We raised the dosage on Alex's seizure meds right before he went to the Grand Mall that brought us here. Is it possible that that could have triggered the seizures he's been having?
Raising the dosage? Not likely.
But not impossible.
Not likely.
Because obviously I'm not an expert, but I remember our neurologist said that whenever you change the doses, there's an adjustment period. But you don't think? Okay. Oh, I'm not sure you're the right person to ask, but I've requested music therapy a bunch of times.
They haven't come by yet.
No,
I'll put another order in the system. Maybe it got lost.
thanks. In terms of,
Hold on. Let me send an email about the music therapy. I don't want to forget.
Dr. Toros composes an email on her phone.
Who is getting music therapy? That's what I'd like to know. Because like every parent that I talk to.
She finishes and sends the email. She puts her phone away.
in terms of weaning him off the ventilator,
Um,
what will you want to see before we can start? What benchmarks or,
we'll want to see him maintaining his oxygen saturations, of course,
of course,
which he isn't right now. We'll want to see him initiating his own breaths. Right now, he's not doing that. Right now, he's writing the vent.
last time I remember we had to slow down the backup rate before he started initiating all the breaths himself.
I don't want to do that until his O2 stats are stable.
Okay.
I don't want to stress him out. He's in charge. When he's ready for the next step, he'll let us know. I understand you're eager, Mom, but
No, I get it.
he's not there right now. We don't want to set him back.
No, of course. No, I just,
She hesitates and looks back at her phone. She stares at it for a while. She shakes her head in bewilderment.
What is it, Mom? Mom?
must be some sort of autocorrect disaster. I have no fucking idea what this says. Excuse me. But, I hope it wasn't important. Can we talk about his chest x-rays?
What about them?
Does he need one every day? They don't seem to change that much, and I wondered if he really needs one every day.
Mom, what's your concern here?
I'm not sure what you mean.
Are you concerned about the radiation?
Sure. What?
You're saying that makes me think that that my team has failed you somewhere along the line.
Why? No. Why?
If you're concerned about radiation, then I don't think you understand the gravity of your son's situation.
Oh,
The X-ray is one of our main tools for tracking Alex's pneumonia. If things are getting worse, we want to know that right away. That has implications for treatment.
I understand that.
Whereas the radiation you get from daily X-ray, that wouldn't have implications, and I'm saying at the earliest, okay, for 20, 30 years. I don't want to put too fine a point on it, but let's just say that's a very long time.
Well, the other thing is that the x-ray lady comes in at like 6 o'clock every morning, which is maybe the only time that Alex is reliably asleep, which is a time I tend to be asleep and it's disruptive.
Well, that's a different issue.
Well, that's why I'm bringing it up.
I can ask radiology to come in the afternoon instead.
I would appreciate that. Thank you.
You're welcome. What else?
I'm supposed to bring Alex in for an evaluation next week. This for a communication device. I guess I should postpone that.
I think so.
Any idea of how much I should postpone it? Never mind.
I'm sorry this is happening, Mom. I hope we can turn it around.
You have kids?
Yeah.
Well, what else should I be asking? If you were me, what should I ask?
Well, I think that you're...
Cat enters. Dr. Toros falls irritably silent and waits as Cat fills a mug with hot water.
Oh, Dr. T. I think Dr. Vitale is looking for you. Yep, he is.
Dr. Toros waits impatiently for Cat to leave, which she does after getting herself a few napkins one at a time.
I think you're striking a pretty good balance between listening to us and advocating for your kid.
Thank you.
Wait a second.
What?
What's the
matter?
That was the music therapist.
Dr. Toros hustles out. She is gone maybe 20 seconds. Mary Jane waits. Dr. Toros comes back a little out of breath.
Sorry, Mom, I don't know where she went. She's gone.
Scene 2. No stuff at all. CHAYA sits reading a prayer book. Mary Jane enters. She registers CHAYA and decides not to disturb her. She gets a yogurt from the fridge. She turns to go, then turns back to CHAYA.
I'm sorry. I hate to bother you, but your daughter's beautiful and you take such good care of her. And it's really none of my business, but the resident who was short with you this morning, I thought was out of line.
You heard what she said.
I didn't mean to eavesdrop.
Well, the beds, they're 4 feet from each other.
I do try not to listen, but I couldn't help noticing her tone.
I can't let it bother me because if I do forget it, it takes all my time. And I have a sick child, so I don't have any time, as you know.
I do know.
It doesn't get to me, but it does get to my husband. I tell him it's not worth it, but he can't help it. He gets offended.
I've seen your husband with, your daughter's name is Adina, right? He's lovely with her. He's very tender.
You're not married?
No.
That's awful. It's terrible to do this by yourself.
Well, everybody has stuff.
That's not true. Some people don't have stuff. I know a lot of people, in fact, without any stuff at all. It's true. And what they always say to me, it's a blessing. What God has given you, Adina's a blessing. And I think, right, the kind of blessing that you don't want to know anything about and you don't want anything to know about. And they say, well, what can I do? Tell me what I can do. And I say, you can pray for her. That's all you can do. So stop asking me.
You've been pumping. You have a baby at home?
I have twin girls at home. They're 7 months old.
Whoa.
And they came a little early, but they're all right, thank God. And Adina also has two younger brothers
Wow.
and an older brother and an older sister. What? That's funny?
7 children.
Yes.
Good. That's perfect. Here, I was just thinking that I have it pretty tough. Oh my God. My name is Mary Jane.
Hiya.
Hi. What's yours?
Hiya.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought Hiya. Hiya.
Not bad.
Nice to meet you. I'm sorry I didn't introduce myself earlier. I don't know what I was.
You don't know who wants to talk and who wants to be left alone.
I asked you about pumping because Alex has never been able to eat by mouth. He's fed by G-tube.
That's a shame.
So for the first few months, I pumped, and I gotta say that I think I have a pretty good attitude in general, but something about hooking my, you know, udders up to that machine 8 times a day.
It's awful. That's why you felt that way. It's unnatural. It's awful.
I used to get this, like, my mood would plunge in the first 20 or 30 seconds of pumping around letdown. I'd be like, everything's fine. I'm dealing with everything. It's all going to be okay. Somebody help!
Right.
All of a sudden, just like that.
Mm-hmm.
I finally told my OB because I thought I'd only heard about euphoria and all of these women having like orgasms while breastfeeding and their children.
That's propaganda. I've breastfed 7 children.
She told me that this problem I was having, it's a syndrome. It has a name like
What?
dysphoric milk ejaculation. No, 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 no.
Please.
Dysphoric milk ejection reflex.
You're making that up.
I'm not. It has to do with like serotonin or something flooding the brain instead of something else that's supposed to.
Maybe it had to do with your son not being able to eat, which is very upsetting.
Maybe.
Like for me, it has to do with not seeing my babies, being back here again. My supply is falling, and it doesn't matter how much I pump, it's not the same thing.
I had problems with that too. And my sister used to make these lactation cookies. I just remember that. They were awful, like full of flaxseed and so dry. She had read in a magazine that they helped, and she sent a batch every week for months. Completely forgotten about that.
I wish I had a sister like that. My sister, she means well. It's like somebody said to her, just act normal with Haya, be cheerful. And she has enough sadness in her life, but my situation is not normal, and I don't feel like being cheerful. Everything I say to her, there's like a but. I say, Adina isn't doing well this week. She's got no energy. And my sister says, but she doesn't seem uncomfortable, and thank God for that. Okay, but why is she exhausted? Is she getting a virus? That's what I'm trying to figure out.
People don't know how to be.
My sister's been a disappointment. My oldest daughter, on the other hand, listen to me, I can't even speak about it.
Does she take care of your little ones while you're here?
I don't know where she gets her, but I better not. I don't want to cry. I wish you many more children someday.
I don't know, Kaya. For now, maybe wish me a 2 bedroom closer to the subway.
Now we're talking. What's happening with that baby in that room?
Have you ever seen anyone visit him?
Not once.
I asked one of the nurses if I could hold him, and she said no because of Alex's virus. And anyway, I need the family's permission.
Do you know what's wrong with him?
Mm. I know he had some sort of GI surgery last Was it before you guys got here? You would remember there was a lot of activity for a couple of days after that. When did you get here? Last week?
This is day 8.
Really? I guess he hasn't seen his family in must be 2 weeks then.
That's why he cries like that.
My heart.
Last time we were here, we got a private room
You're kidding.
just by chance, and all the other beds were full.
Oh, was it deluxe?
Well, it's still a hospital.
Is there a bathroom in there?
No.
Oh. Ugh. Oh,
No, you still have to walk a quarter of a mile and go to that,
right? It's like being on an airplane.
For us though, the privacy it was nice. There's a cot.
Wow, the private room. That's something to dream about.
How long have you been here?
This is week 7.
Our longest was 5.
This is our longest since the NICU.
Are they saying when you might be discharged? Do you feel like sometimes when Adina gets sick, when I realize, all right, we have to take her to the hospital, we can't keep her at home like this. I'm not sure if I can describe what I mean.
Sure you can.
There's so much worry. It's going in 1,000 directions all at the same time, but all I can do is keep track of the things that I'm worried about. But mostly I'm worried about, will we have to go back to the hospital? Will we have to stay another month in the hospital? Because that's the worst thing, right? The worst thing that can happen. And when we decide, okay, the disaster is here and we're going to, suddenly it's quiet. It's like everything we've been doing, that's been very nice, but it wasn't real. This is real. And it's a relief. That's what it is. It's a relief to get back to it.
Do you think your faith makes things easier?
Easier than what?
Easier. Oh God. I don't know. Easier than it would be without it?
How could I know? But I don't think so.
No?
Well, my community makes things easier in certain ways.
Adina has so many visitors. It took me a while to figure out which one of you were the parents.
People feel a responsibility for each other. Now, in your situation, is it okay for me to say this?
Yeah.
It wouldn't happen. Even if your husband died or left, you wouldn't be alone. But does my faith make it easier? I don't think having a sick child is less painful for me than it is with people without religion. I don't think so.
No, that's not what I meant. I'm not sure what I meant. Maybe, I guess maybe my question is, do you believe you're suffering for a reason? Or no, hold on. I don't mean that you're being punished. Obviously, I don't mean, but do you think, look, I'm shaking. I don't know why. Before you said this is real, uh, I've lost it. I've lost the question. He just seems so uncomfortable. He seems so miserable.
It's the worst.
Well, I better get back there.
She goes to exit.
If Adina's awake, will you come back and tell me?
Yes.
You don't mind. I'll go with you.
If I don't come back, she's sleeping.
Mary Jane exits. Scene 3. This guy has been waiting a long time for some music. The bedside. Mary Jane sits in a chair nearby, on the phone. Intermittent beeps and the sound of a vent breathing for Alex. Mary Jane listens for a while.
I do. I understand. I do. I'm at a loss too. If I could give you a date, Kelly, I would. I just, right. Oh, okay. My only question, and this is a tough one, is whether there's any way to continue my benefits just until I find something else. And I promise you that it won't be very long. I'm very employable until you get to know me. I appreciate that. and I will keep my expectations low. I know, I should go too. Oh, Kelly, thank you again for both the gift baskets. They were spectacular. Bye.
Mary Jane puts her phone down. She is still for a moment. Then she habitually looks over at Alex, then up at the monitor to see all his stats. She relaxes back into her chair and into the tense ennui of the PICU. Kat enters, gowned up, including a mask, holding an iPad.
Hi, Mom. Alexander, right?
Yep, that's Alex.
Is he sleeping?
Mm-hmm.
Well, do you mind if I
Go ahead.
look at that head of hair?
Yeah,
Gorgeous.
he's always had hair. He needed a haircut at 3 months.
No,
Yeah?
he doesn't get that color from you, huh?
Nope. No.
My niece was bald until she was 1.5. Her mom would put a bow on her bald little skull so people knew she was a girl. Now she's 6 and she's a tomboy. You'd never catch her with a bow.
I love that.
She cracks me up. So peaceful. Hiya, Alex. You think you might be ready to wake up for me, handsome?
He had a procedure this morning.
How did it go?
We're waiting and seeing. That's why he's zonked. He's still out from the anesthesia.
Oh, no. Bad timing, huh?
Are you from neurology?
Well, I'm the music therapist. They didn't tell you I was coming?
No.
Well, they're supposed to make sure it's a good time, which of course it isn't.
I'm so glad you're here, though. Maybe you could come back in a couple hours.
I wish I could. We're short-staffed. There's only 2 of us and my colleagues on our honeymoon.
Oh,
This is my last appointment of the day. Darn it. I know this guy's been waiting a long time for some music.
are you back tomorrow?
No, I'm off for the long weekend.
Right.
I'm back Tuesday. I'll do my best to get you on the list. I don't always get a lot to say, but
Thanks for trying.
has child life come at all?
Child
Mom?
life. Yeah, they brought some bubbles and I'm sorry, I lost my train of thought. Some coloring books.
Good.
Yeah. Alex can't hold a crown even when he's healthy, but it's the thought that counts, right? And the bubbles, I don't know. I think they watered them down to save money. I think the bubble budget might have taken some cuts. I'm sorry. Um, what's your name?
Cat.
Thanks for coming by, Kat. I know you have places to be.
Sorry, Mom.
But maybe you can tell your supervisor that I've been telling my son for weeks that someone's coming to play music. And it may not seem to you guys that he can't hear me or understand me, but he does hear me and he does understand me. And when I tell him that there's going to be music and then there's no music, then that's actually harmful. Your music therapy program has been harmful to my child. Forgive me. We'd love to see you on Tuesday.
What kind of procedure was it? Was it a surgery?
No, it's just why?
Because depending on what it was, he may not have gotten that much anesthesia. He might just be, very mellow.
You think he might be kind of conscious?
It's up to you. I'll play if you want. I can still try to come back Tuesday. I don't even have to. I won't submit any paperwork for this visit, so they don't try to push you back down the list. What do you think? You're my rhythm section. Any requests?
Um, um, no. Maybe not that though. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. Anything but that.
Okay. All right, here we go. Bluebird, bluebird through my window, bluebird, bluebird through my window, bluebird, bluebird through my window. Oh, Johnny, I am tired. Take a little girl and tap her on the shoulder. Take a little girl and tap her on the shoulder. Take a little girl and tap her on the shoulder. Oh, Johnny, I am tired. Bluebird, bluebird through my window. Bluebird, bluebird through my window. Bluebird, bluebird through my window. Oh, Johnny, I am tired. Take a little boy and tap him on the shoulder. Take a little boy and tap him on the shoulder. Take a little boy and tap him on the shoulder. Oh, Johnny, I am tired. Bluebird, bluebird through my window. Bluebird, bluebird through my window. Bluebird, bluebird through my window. Oh, Johnny, I am tired. Oh, Johnny, I am tired. Oh, Johnny, I am tired.
As the song ends, Mary Jane gets into a bunny suit, white polyester coveralls with cap, mask, and booties to wear into an antiseptic surgery suite. She follows as hospital personnel, perhaps played by the actors playing Dr. Toros and CHAYA, wheel Alex's bed off. Scene 4, and then it blooms. With Alex's bed gone, the beeps and whirs of the PICU are quieter, more distant. Now visible behind where the bed was is a goldfish swimming in a bowl on a table. Mary Jane enters in her bunny suit and pours herself a cup of water. After a bit, TENKEI enters in a Buddhist nun's robes with a shaved head. Mary Jane notices her.
Hi. TENKEI, you're muted.
Darn. Hello. I'm one of the hospital chaplains. You listed your religion as question mark, and I thought I'd see if you wanted some company while Alex is in surgery.
Sure.
TENKEI and Mary Jane position chairs near each other and sit.
Are you a Buddhist?
What gave it away? TENKEI.
Mary Jane. TENKEI? We saw another chaplain overnight. Dark hair and glasses.
Eleanor.
I think so. She came when my son coded. I guess you guys automatically get paged.
Yes, the chaplain on call.
She was,
And that,
sorry.
oh, go ahead.
No. Oh, I was just gonna say she was nice. She's very, do you get many Buddhist patients in the hospital?
Some, not many.
Were you raised Buddhist?
Episcopalian.
Can I ask you something? I'm afraid this is gonna be offensive.
Ask me.
Do you think, do you think if you were born in a Buddhist family in a Buddhist country, you would have become a Christian nun?
Maybe.
Doesn't that, forgive me, 10K, doesn't it make your whole life seem kind of arbitrary?
It's not the only thing that makes my life seem arbitrary. It's pretty far down the list.
How long have you been a nun?
7 months?
You're a brand new nun.
A beginner.
Congratulations. What did you do before?
Many different things.
Like,
Well, my longest job was a teacher.
I'm a teacher. I want to be.
I was a teacher for almost 20 years at a Waldorf school.
Right. That's like Montessori.
No,
Oh,
they're often confused. They're very different.
sorry.
No, that's all right.
Stop. Why'd you stop?
I moved to Oregon to take care of my mother when she was sick, and I stayed there for a while after she died. And I managed an inn, did various.
Mm-hmm.
Then I worked at a hospice. And that was my last job before this.
Mary Jane waves her hand in front of her face, moving it closer and farther away, closing one eye and then the other.
I get these visual auras. Sometimes it means a migraine is coming, sometimes it doesn't.
What does it look like? The aura.
Bright lights, dark spots, hard to describe. Starts small and then it blooms. In 10 minutes, I won't be able to see you. I was a teenager around when I got my period. I got migraines so bad I'd puke. My speech would slur. I just had to go to bed. Once the right side of my face got temporarily paralyzed and my mom thought I was having a stroke. Alex has had 3 strokes. You knew that. I never know what everybody knows here.
Is that Alex's fish?
Yeah, that's Gloria.
Mary Jane picks up the bowl and they watch Gloria swim.
Alex hasn't met her yet because he hasn't woken up since I got her for him.
She's a girl fish.
Oh, good. I was just guessing.
No, I don't know. You said her.
Oh. Oh, I thought maybe you could tell. I thought that was just part of Buna's training.
No, but I have an iPhone though. Should we look?
Sure.
TENKEI types on her phone.
Here we go. What sex is my goldfish? A simple 8-step.
8.
Uh-huh. Let's see. Step 1, shape. Is your goldfish deep-bodied? Females tend to be deeper bodied than their male counterparts when viewed from the side.
What does deep-bodied mean?
Step 2, the anus. The fish's anal opening just above the anal fin will protrude more on a female goldfish. Okay. Step 3, look for tubercles. If you see the tubercles or small white spots on your goldfish, then more than likely it's male.
Small white spots.
This would be good training. Are those white spots? They might be.
Because it's hard because all these lights in my eyes.
They may be tubercles. I'm not sure.
Think I have to name her? I mean him?
No.
I don't think I want to go through the other 5 steps. Is it still raining out there?
They're predicting more floods.
I have a friend. I'm worried about her garden. Oh no, that's where she lives on a hill. My memory.
Sure.
I keep getting disoriented. They've moved Alex's room a few times. This morning I came out of the bathroom and went to the wrong bed, but not a bed he's been in before. I took a wrong turn and then went right to the right spot in the wrong room. There was a teenager there. A nurse was rubbing him down with lotion and was staring at the ceiling. I wasn't sure if it was what my mistake was for a moment. Was it the right bed, but the wrong child, the right child, the wrong time zone? It could have also been part of this migraine.
They think some of the saints had migraines. Saint Teresa of Avila. Now I'm calling upon my Christian education. I was very happy when I was renouncing my childhood religion to learn that what I had always been taught were visions from God were, in fact, neurological events. That was the kind of little fact that gave me a lot of pleasure back then.
Now, what do you think?
I wish I could tell my parents I'm no longer sure of the things that made me look down upon them.
I think you won't mind me saying this. It must be frightening to start a new job at your age.
It is.
Mary Jane winces, shielding her eyes from the fluorescence.
I think this one's coming with a headache.
May I turn the lights off for you, Mary Jane?
Thank you.
TENKEI turns off the lights. It takes her a minute because the switches are in different places in the room. It's quite dark except the glow of Alex's disconnected monitor and some spill from the hall. TENKEI sits again. They sit together in silence for quite a while.
Do you want to tell me about Alex?
He's stubborn. He's such a stubborn kid. I get so mad at him. If he doesn't want to do something, like say he doesn't want to sit in his wheelchair, if I try to put him, he'll arch and squirm. I'm 5 times his size and he isn't supposed to have hardly any muscle control, but I'm telling you, if he doesn't want to sit, I cannot get him in that damn chair. And I'm trying to be stern, but I'm laughing. And I'm saying, "This is not funny, mister." And he's laughing too. He loves fish, of course. He loves our superintendent's dog, Trisha. I bet he misses seeing her. He loves very cold things. I think he likes feeling the feeling of extreme, the sensory. He likes touching snow and ice. He likes seeing the breath in the winter. If he does let me put him in his chair, he loves for me to run with him up and down the street as fast as I can go. People look at me like I'm crazy. Is that safe? Is he supposed to be doing that? And he just grins and grins. He's almost 3. I don't know whether he's going to make it out of the surgery. I don't know what to hope for anymore.
I see him very clearly. Thank you.
It's closing in. They're very pretty, actually, the auras. They look like computer generated, what is it that I'm trying to think of? What's a snowflake?
What's the snowflake?
It's like an endlessly repeating, oh
A
God.
fractal?
Yeah, a fractal. God, what a strange,
Can you still see?
Bright white light. End of play.
good job, guys. Full disclosure, my 2-year-old did have a seizure this weekend.
I
Oh,
saw
wow.
that
I was going to
on
say,
your
I
social
thought
media.
something was coming from it. I was like, I wasn't 100% sure, but I was like, it seemed like you were
That was
somewhere.
not ideal, but
Mm.
it
He had a fever and it caused the seizure, I think
yeah,
I
yeah,
read on your
yeah.
post.
He's fine, thank God. But
Oh,
I was like, this is a little too close to home, I think, right now. But
yeah.
it's a very good play. You could see why it won, or I don't know if it won, nominated for best play. Um,
It won some awards.
yeah, and Rachel McAdams was just like um, very highly praised for her performance in it. And, um,
It
anyway,
won, it was nominated for a Tony, won a New York Drama Critics Circle Award and an Obie Award.
yeah, it's really, really good. I really enjoyed it. What did you guys? We still have some time. I know we had an hour of talk beforehand, but how was your experience breaking down the script? Especially you guys got to do multiple roles, so I'm sure that was a different challenge.
I loved that it was entirely women. That was so cool. And just like a community of women like banding together. I think anybody has ever been a caregiver in their life can relate to this
Mhm.
story. I think it's important.
Yeah,
And
I saw it was based on the writer's like real life experience with her daughter too. And I think that's very evident in the script. Like so many little moments that just it's an extremely realistic script, I think.
Yeah, it was definitely based in real grounded in reality. And I loved how strong every single one of those women were in their own like differences. that came together to make this little family for Mary Jane. And each character had their own little journey in their scenes. It was just really fully fleshed out, obviously. Like, I mean, I say that. So different reading plays than television scripts, right? Because this play probably took this writer years and years to write and to get right. And it went through workshops and it went through all of this stuff to create and to get into a book versus screenwriting, not to diminish screenwriting, because, you know, they're still amazing screenplays, but they're television is written in a week by a room full of people, right? Like it's just a different journey, you know, and you connect to it differently as an actor for sure. So like, and Natalia knows we study at the same place. We do a lot of plays there because it's the ballet, it's the basic of our training. Like you have to be reading and studying plays to really fully understand how to break down the characters. A lot of you know, like I talk about memory work, about having to fill things in, about all of that kind of stuff. You don't necessarily have to do that with plays. Like a lot of that work is done. And so it kind of gives you a good stronghold and a good idea of where you need to go for all of that extra work that you have to do when you're auditioning for television and film. So I highly recommend doing more plays. We are doing another play. I do still have some roles I need to cast. It's another all-women show. Very different.
I wish I could audition.
This one is like crude humor. That's it. Like if Neil Simon and Stephen Natalie Burgess had a baby written by a woman, like it is absurd. So
When is the deadline?
say again.
When's the submission deadline for that one?
This coming Sunday. Sunday. Again, all women. It's called POTUS. Behind every great man are seven. No, but behind every dumbass is seven women trying to keep him alive or something like that. And it's just it's I can't double cast this one because it's too craziness. So come play, enjoy. Let's do it. If any of you are interested in boot camp, I'm going this weekend for the New Year's resolution. We're going to LA. We're shooting some stuff. I opened up a March one. And if you guys know anybody that'd be interested in it, because I know a lot of you have, like Amy and Caroline, you guys have demos, but if you have people that I give $100 referral for anybody that needs a demo that comes along. So spread the word. Well, other than that, you guys are my returning people. You guys know my drill. We don't need to talk about all of that. But anything else y'all want to chat about?
I'm going to New Mexico to film a short film, a SAG short film with a bunch of ladies. It's entirely women, and I'm so excited.
Yay, congrats on
But
that.
this is why I can't do your POTUS, but I'll be thinking of you, and I'll catch the YouTube afterwards.
Well, make sure you post what you can. I'll share it. I always share you guys' wins. So please just, even if you want to, like, I can only share if you tag me, but you can like hide the tag if you don't want to like outwardly tag me. So like if there's an image, you can tag and then you can put the image on top and it won't like show. Although you can show it if you want to, but then it'll alert me and I'll be able to share it properly without you being like, Ashley, if that makes sense.
Oh, Ashley, so good in this role.
Yes.
Are you you're thinking of producing it at some point, possibly?
I would love to produce it out here if I can. The problem is time and resources to do it. But if I did it, it would be like we do at Playhouse West, just like rehearse it. Especially this play is like max 3 people per scene. So it'd be kind of easier to rehearse it when we have time and just extend the rehearsal process significantly and put it up when we can. That's kind of how we did it at Playhouse and kind of worked with everybody's schedule. But I would love to do it because I liked the role.
Yeah, I could tell from like the very first scene. I was like, oh, she's like, this is exactly for you. It just
So,
is.
yeah, so we'll see. I don't even know if they're licensing it out yet. I think they may be because otherwise I probably wouldn't have been able to find it on Sam French, but um, I don't know. I don't know. It's on the wish list,
Hmm.
but we'll see. We'll see. You're all the way in Tucson though, Amy.
I'm in Tucson.
Would you be able to come up for it?
Sure, I'd do it. I'd figure it out. I've got friends in Phoenix.
You got friends in hot places? All right, kids, I don't want to keep you. I know it's late, especially out there in Atlanta. Thanks for joining me. I really, really loved that you guys went there for this play. So
Y'all
I'm very
brought a
excited.
lot of stuff to this. It was really fun to watch
Yeah.
you.
I love
Oh,
that you guys you went there and you were committed and you did a play. And that's more that I can say. I have 1,000 people on my list and 5 people enrolled and 3 people turned in auditions and showed up.
Mm.
So that's saying a lot for you guys. Okay.
All
And thank
right.
you, Natalia, for jumping in and being our narrator.
Thank you.
It was really
Natalia,
fun. That moment where I missed that one block of Texas because I was so invested in just watching you guys and I forgot that I had to read
That's
stuff.
what it was. Yeah.
like, whoopsie. Yeah, Natalia is a super talented actress out there in LA. If you guys do the boot camp, she's one of the actresses I auditioned for a role. She played 2 roles in summer boot camp. And that's kind of how I met her. And she studies at the same school that I study at, Playhouse West, which is where the Desert Playhouse got its like namesake,
Hmm.
because I love it out there. So if you guys ever go to LA, and you want a great home to study, we highly suggest Playhouse West. But keep an eye out for Natalia because she is a little booking machine, and I can't wait to see what she does next.
I just did a callback this morning. We're hoping it works out.
Yay, good job. All right. Well, yes, thank you for jumping in and playing with us, Natalia. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
All right, you guys, you'll have a great night, and I'll
thank
talk to y'all soon.
you.
All right,
Bye-bye.
bye.
Thank you. That was fun.